And we are back. It's time to get ready to go into our second series of a very stacked day of action. Coming up next, we're going to have the Florida Mayhem squaring off against the Houston Outlaws. If you're just now joining us, you missed the London Spitfire, able to get a victory over the Atlanta Reign. So they're going to be moving forward. The Reign now going to have to battle their way out of the lower bracket. And one of these two teams is going to be joining them down there at the end of it all.
Yep, so this is going to be an interesting matchup because I think both teams have very similar styles as well, especially when it comes down to the Dooms. You know, Dante versus someone is going to be pretty hype. Look, I've managed to avoid casting someone this entire year after covering the guy contenders. Not a fan of the name, but my goodness, he's a good player though, so I'm glad he's got that going for him.
Yeah, I mean, you know, the story of how he got his name, adorable. But it can be a little frustrating at times when you're a caster and you're like, someone. It's just like the most blanket term that we've
been blessed to dodge that one for the entire season until now, but here we go.
Yeah, well, we'll have to deal with it. We'll see how we fare, but I think that we should be quite all right as we get ready for these teams to make battle. So we'll see who's able to come out on top. I mean, the desk seemingly feeling like it's going to be a bit, you know, Outlaws favored coming into this one. We'll have to wait and see. Florida Mayhem definitely need to level up a bit if they want to walk away victorious.
So, fun fact, the Florida Mayhem have not beaten the Houston Outlaws since 2020, week 21. Which is, I believe, June the 28th of 2020. So it's been a damn long time now. The last 4 times they've met, which is the only 4 times they've met since the win that Florida Mayhem last got on the Mayhem on the Houston Outlaws. It's been all Houston. So Houston's won 4 times in a row now. It's a major win streak versus the Florida Mayhem that extends all the way back to 2020. And right now, I mean, they've only played each other once so far. That was a 3-2 victory. But when you sort of look at the histories of the two teams and the most recent games being played, Houston have had some close calls. They've had, I think it's, 3 5-mappers in a row, but they've always won that 5th map. They've always been able to clutch it through. They beat Boston, New York, Atlanta as well. So, yeah, I mean, they go the distance. I think this is a series that could go to distances, especially considering that Florida Mayhem did tank the Houston Outlaws to the distance before, but I don't think the discs are wrong either because Houston has looked like the better team in recent games, considering Florida's losses in their recent matches as well.
I mean, hey, if the Seoul Dynasty can conquer their demons and, you know, break the loss streak against the Shanghai Dragons, then certainly anything becomes possible. So maybe the Florida Mayhem can do the same here in a tournament setting, just like we saw the Dynasty able to do. Time will tell, though, but first we'll go ahead and start taking a look at our starting lineup, starting with the side of the Florida Mayhem, see who they're going to be fielding here for their initial 5. And we'll go ahead and take a look. It's going to be Hydron, then Checkmate, someone, as you said, Rupal, and then Namo to round it all out.
So this is interesting. There's 2 things that are interesting to me. One is that Hydron is playing over Xe. Now, normally Xe has been the starter for this team for some time now, since he arrived for Florida. But Oasis, which is going to be opening map for Control, is a very, I think, dive-favored kind of map, and Hydron is kind of the tracer player of this team, so he will be coming in to specialize on that role. The other part that's interesting is the Rupal versus Surma Jed conversation. Who's going to get the playtime? Because they've both been featured on the same position playing alongside Animo in previous games, and I think, you know, one match it was Surma Jed getting most of the playtime, one match it was Rupal. They've also shared playtime when they play the double flex support as well, right? But it does seem like now that we're moving forward a bit more, Mayhem are focusing more so on Rupal than Surma Jed.
Let's see how they fare as Namo just kind of, you know, chilling back, reclining in the seat, a little bit further away from the cam than the rest of the players, but, you know, he's in his comfort zone.
That's what Leave does all the time.
He's like nice loosey-goosey. True.
You got 4 alert players and then one dude just like halfway to going to bed, really.
Yep. Well, enough about Leave and players who aren't in this tournament. Let's go ahead and take a look at the starting roster. On the opposite side, it's going to be the Houston Outlaws starting 5. Let's see what they have prepped for us here today.
Just a bit of Overwatch League lore, you know how it goes. So Dante starting things out. There's 2 main looks for the Houston Outlaws that people are probably quite familiar with now. And, I mean, you know exactly what you're in for, depending on which tank is playing. Is it Dante? Then it's going to be Doom. If it's Piggy, most likely on the Sigma. That's their 2 go-to comps. So if you can sort of figure out and how to navigate around those 2 looks from Houston, you've basically figured Houston out. Easier said than done, though. Like I said, past 3 matches, they've been close. Houston have won all of them. I do consider Houston to be a bit of a gatekeeper team because they kind of beat everybody that's more of a mid-tier team or below them, and they have also consistently lost to top-of-the-table teams like Glads and Shock. I don't think they've actually beaten them so far this year. So Houston Outlaws, they're a hard team to get past. The desk likes to refer to the Florida Mayhems for Midhem. So look, if Florida want to shake off that kind of reputation, they do have to get past the gatekeepers of the Houston Outlaws.
See if they're up to the task. I mean, obviously, a bit of a gap between the two. The 11th place versus the 6th place coming into this event. Florida Mayhem need to punch up a little bit if they want to be victorious and break that loss streak. But anything is certainly possible. We just saw a fairly clean takedown of, you know, the Atlanta Rain at the hands of the London Spitfire. So maybe Florida can just try to channel a bit of that similar energy, come out swinging, manage to catch them off guard. Time will tell. We'll just have to wait and see what they do have prepared for us, because you know they're already surprising us a little bit with the roster selection, where they want to try to focus this 5-man core, and maybe that is going to be, you know, finding success.
Right, and the other thing that we do notice is that Animo can play some of these flex supports as well. So, you know, he's been flexible enough to also pick up the Ana here or there. So if they really need that secondary player, that main support to step it up, Animo can do that. So that'll be something to look out for. It'll be interesting to see what the rest of the players are going to pick up here. Like, is it going to be a Tracer Genji sort of style here? Is Hydron going to be, you know, looking more like an Xe with the Sojin? In which case, you do start asking the question of like, well, why isn't Xe playing then if Hydra just plays Sojin? I'm suspecting it'll be more so Hydra and Tracer, then maybe a Checkmate Genji, Checkmate Echo even. We'll sort of see how we get in there. I know it's not Elias, but he has shown that look in the past. Someone most likely matches the Doomfist here. I think Florida Mayhem have played so much Doom in their previous matchups. Really, his signature hero so far has been like kind of Doom and then bringing out the Ryan on something like a Coliseum, which is a map that I hope we get to, because I think that is a very winnable map for the Mayhem, given that when I've looked at Outlaws' previous matches, especially on push, they've been great at New Queen Street, but Coliseum's always, you know, especially in the previous matches they've had a little bit iffy for them. They've not been consistent on the Coliseum, so that could be an area for the Mayhem to attack if they get a chance to play that map.
And this is one of the, you know, my favorite thing about the tournaments is not having just that set map list going into a match, being able to, you know, draft if you do suffer a loss. Try to go for something that, you know, you find to be advantageous for yourself, much like we saw the Rain do with that pick on Circuit Royale. So always great to see in tournament play, but let's take a closer look here at Dante, who of course has been piloting that Doomfist more often than not.
Absolutely. So he's been one of the leading players on the Doomfist as far as getting in early in the meta. We remember that match in San Antonio between the Houston Outlaws and Dallas Fuel, right at the beginning of the season, right, where Dante kind of debuted as Doomfist and they crushed the Dallas Fuel 3-0. That was a very shooken up Dallas Fuel that weren't quite ready for what Dante was going to be bringing to the table. It was the first time we saw the tank Dante as well. And now that we're deeper into the season, more players have sort of come up on that Doomfist. You had Hawk as well that started very early in that Doomfist, but like we sort of seen in our last series here, the Doomfist power, I think, is starting to dwindle. By the time we get to the next patch, we probably won't be playing Doomfist at all, because, again, he received a lot of nerfs on the Beta 2 patch. We're currently on the Beta 1 patch for the Overwatch League, so still a reasonable place for Dante to come out on this. Someone will 100% be looking to match, as another person that I also mentioned is very, very much leaning towards the Doomfist now.
Well, here is the map list, as much as we do know, obviously, with Oasis starting things off on Control, and then from there the loser will select. Houston Outlaws deciding to take us over to Oasis to kick it all off.
Yep. We'll see what happens when we get over towards University as well, because I think the flexibility of the Florida Mayhem on their tank, which is someone that plays everything across the board, much like Smurf over on Seoul Dynasty, they have the options of playing more main tank options like the Winston, like the Ryan, especially on University. We're actually got University straight off the rip. Good to see. Question mark now, is someone going to go straight for the Ryan? Because that's not something that Houston Outlaws can immediately go to with Dante in.
Well, we will be loading into the game here in just a moment. Like you said, University to go ahead and kick it all off as the players begin communicating with each other.
I also look towards Pelican as a major difference maker here as well. Pelican says I'm shy. I've been peeking a little bit of Pelican in some of the team content. And his English has been really staggering, actually. That was massively improved from last year. So good to see Pelican really getting comfortable on the next rosters on the NA teams. Rookie of the Year from last year, one of the most impressive players that we have in the league, and a major problem for teams like Florida Mayhem to deal with. So someone's actually going to come out and do this early. Lucio Moira. Not too sure if I'm a major fan of Lucio Moira, but it is one of the support looks that this team has had a lot of playtime on. But one of the questions is answered here. It's going to be Hydra and Tracer, checkmate Genji.
All right. Battle commencing already. It's going to be Houston Outlaws able to find first blood, but it will get traded back at 2 for 2 thus far as Lastro and Iris are gone to the Outlaws now without their supports. Merit still managing to find checkmate, however. As the trade-up comes in, but it's quickly traded back. Dante will get an ammo on the back end of the fight. And all of this death, all of this bloodshed before the point is even unlocked. Now it has. Dante for now just trying to keep things contested. Merit manages to get that rail across. It's Hydron in the skull. Kill onto the Tracer. Now Houston Outlaws posturing forward. Should be able to get this initial lockdown to the point.
Yep, Cap goes forward. Checkmate, by the way, swaps over towards that Echo. So another one of those looks that I mentioned that could happen for somebody like Checkmate. Wants to play up against Pelican. I think Merit is going to be someone that's hard to deal with, considering rail shots into everybody. It's going to be pretty deadly. Houston Outlaws, though, still getting double kill from Pelican. Beautiful stuff.
He comes out of the pit, is instantly greeted by the sticky bombs and an anti-nade. Goes down quickly thereafter. Pelican cleaning him up 3 in the fight, looking for a little bit more. The beam will be good as Pelican scoops up 4 kills, I do believe, there. Fantastic done from him. Houston Outlaws winning the follow-up fight now already at 30%.
There's a lot of pressure on to someone here as well. I mean, both of the Echo players trying to beam down not only the tanks, but when you get the stickies onto the back line as well. Massive damage output. Hydron with the pulse bomb available has been spotted though, so this will be tough.
Okay, pulse from Hydra, not going to be able to find any picks. Would have been crucial here for the Florida Mayhem to be able to posture forward, try to get this flip going through. Someone slept in the front line, ends up going down. Pelican finding that elimination. As Checkmate tries to play forward, but Merit says no. Catches him with a rail. Hydra will be able to find one with the front line broken down, and now Anthony out, finished off by Lastro. The cleanup comes through. Houston Outlaws, they will be holding firmly, not letting this point slip out of their grasp.
And the thing about playing Lucio Moira is you have to be a super fast team, and ideally you're building up these coalescences mega quickly as well. But so far, Florida Mayhem haven't been able to get enough frags in. These fights haven't lasted long enough, so still waiting for ultimates to come on through. Had the pulse bomb. Hydron went for probably the more difficult pulse bomb on the backline. The easy one would have been onto Dante before he finds that meteor strike, right? But sometimes you do have to make the high risk, high reward play. Nano coming through now.
They're not going to find the anti, but Ripple going to be taken down. Dante finding that elimination. Merit getting checkmate as well. The kills come through, and I mean, we've been in last fight territory, and Amo's the only one who's still alive. He may be good for a touch here, but doesn't have a sound barrier for an extended fight. Rotates his way up, does get the OT force out, but is instantly melted down. The OT now bleeding away. Someone trying to get there, but he cannot. And it's just going to be ults pop in celebration from the side of the Houston Outlaws. Didn't really have to use too many of them. 100 to 0 as they close out University.
I mean, speaking of ultimates there, Florida Mayhem only used a total of 1 ultimate that entire map.
That's all they got.
Just the pulse bomb. The other 4 members didn't get an ultimate. Didn't get it. Animo died on 99%, no sound barrier. I mentioned that this is a team that has to go quickly. You have to play for coal rushes. You have to play off the back of coalescences. Never had one for Rufo, just didn't get one. So take a look at this double kill coming through now. Yeah, just a bunch of stickies landed. Some help from Dante there as well. And just drop it in the beam. So for the Florida Mayhem, to get this Lucio Moira off the ground, their pacing has to be far greater than Houston Outlaws. I think they started well, right? They got the initial double trade on the back line with the Iris and Lastro kills, Eris rather, and Lastro kills, but they couldn't convert that into a win because they lost 3 members themselves. The double DPS plus 1 tank alive for the Houston Outlaws ended up doing enough damage, and you know, I do enjoy bringing this stat up. Speaking of Dante, didn't die at all on University, 0 deaths.
Yeah, I just clean Doomfist performance from him. Florida Mayhem definitely need to level up as we get ready to go into that second round. I believe it's City Center. Let's see how they fare and whether or not they can extend this all the way into Garden. But that is a bit of a rough start, to say the least. So, going to be feeling pretty shaken.
Let me outline what needs to happen here for Florida Mayhem. Firstly, I do think they probably should still be going for the TP play that Pelican is going, so expect Hydron to change over to Sim really quick for that. But because they're playing Lucio Moira again, which I think has a bit of problem with verticality on this particular map, well, not more so than Houston playing Ana Zen, but you know, hear me out for a second here. They need to, off the rip on the neutral, have a very successful opening fight where they prevent Houston Outlaws from gaining control on the Mega Pack side. So not Coastal, the Mega Pack jump pad side of things, because that's where Iris and Lasher want to be staying and holding up on for the majority of the city center. So if Florida Mayhem can control that side of the map, they prevent Houston Outlaws from playing their game plan. If Florida Mayhem fail that opening neutral, Houston are going to get the high ground, and Florida will find it difficult to reclaim that high ground again.
We should have the players readying up here in just a moment. Not quite sure exactly what the issue is, but hopefully everything's been taken care of.
Just mandated banter, you know.
Back in here.
You just got to pause, do some mandated banter, then get back in. So a little bit of small talk before business hours, before the ball for business begins.
I think they figured, you know what, Achilles is casting this one. He's the pause king. Every time he casts, there's got to be a pause. So let's just go ahead and throw one.
So if Hydron doesn't TP out, okay, is he going for it? If he doesn't do it, I think they'll be slow out on the rollout. So yeah,
they're not.
Well, they have a speed boost. They have that over the Houston Outlaws, so this might be a little bit more even. But the opening rollout from Florida is not going to be checking Mega side. That being said, Hydron is kind of there. You can see the double supports of Houston Outlaws already going towards jump pad. Here comes someone now.
To the back, someone moving forward, puts the fist up to try to stay protected, but still, as soon as the fist comes down, Merritt greets him with a rail. Finds a headshot, checkmate, cleaning up two, manages to find both the supports once more. Houston Outlaws losing their supports at the start of the fight, but can they continue to win it out? We'll have to just wait and see. Point now on launch, Pelican taken down, the nade goes through, Merritt finds Hydron, but then he quickly falls afterward to Rupel's orb. And with the cleanup on the Dante, it seems like Florida Mayhem will find their first ounce of percentage here on this first map.
Yeah, they took the scenic route here. I also think Houston were maybe a little, it seemed like maybe they were a little slow to get up on top. Getting, was it? Yeah, it was Lasher on the Zen. Getting him down super early was a big boom for the Florida Mayhem. Like you sort of mentioned, getting supports down, but this time Florida Mayhem have enough members alive they can take hold of the permanent damage and no healing.
Iris under some fire, trying to stay alive. Pelican and Merritt each able to find an elimination. Merritt finds his second with someone going down. Huge cleanup as now it's just the supports left alive, and yeah, not long for this world. The cleanup is there on to Guantanamo. I mean, he can try to play a little bit longer, but Merritt gets the headshot all the same. The flip is there, and it's a rather fast one, just 31% established here for the Mayhem.
Ripple going over towards the Ana here as well, so they've got to be changing up their play style, not just kind of rushing in anymore, also supporting someone on the Winston. Important. This is one of the extra looks that Mayhem can pull out that the Houston Outlaws can't do on a map like this, so I do think Winston is a great place on this map. This will hopefully help out the Florida Mayhem a lot, but they are otherwise behind, especially in ultimates.
And once more, they're looking for Iris. Peel is going to be there, and Pelican comes up with an elimination on the checkmate. The beam, nothing that Genji could do against that one. Ends up going down. Now the overclock, drop down, looking for a little bit more. Spots Hydra, the shot not going to connect, but he's just going to reset off the side of the map. Yeah, I mean, I don't want to give any extra ult percentage over to you, so I'll go ahead and pop off the side of the cliff. Yeah.
Let's talk about the fact there was a super quick overclock coming through, I believe. That was one of, if not the first, ultimate online between both teams. Maybe Hydron got a pulse bomb slightly early, but he is on a trace, so that's expected. We'll just pull out the overclock very quickly. Not a lot that Florida can do against it. And this is kind of what I mentioned, right? Once Houston Outlaws can park themselves up on this side of the map, can be pretty difficult to dislodge, as we saw from the previous fight.
Ooh, looking for the lob in on Iris. Not going to get that connection. Dante slept after the meteor strike. Last throw, though, rally rolling, trying to keep everybody alive. And Hydron, oh boy, punched into oncoming traffic. Dante shuts him down, finds checkmate as well to deal with the DPS duo. Houston Outlaws quite handedly win the team fight. They get the team kill.
Poor car.
Moving up above 80%. Poor car, says Dante. Not poor Hydron, poor car.
Yeah. I don't know if you can get that one fixed in time, but I don't know how Florida can fix this situation. They would love to wait for Nanoblade, but I don't think they can. They just have to go with it now. They're being aggressive on Dante's just in deep.
I mean, the blade is pulled from checkmate. He's looking for elimination. He will manage to find last straw, but then he gets taken down. Merritt greets him with a rail. Primal rolling from someone, manages to cleave down two. Good eliminations found. Pelican going to be knocked out of his duplicate. Takes right back up to the skies, but someone hounds him down. Huge kills off the Primal Blade. The flip is going to be there. Florida Mayhem not going down without a fight, but the Outlaws have time on their side.
Yeah, it's one of the blades that'll pop off there. The one with the over 1,000 HP is going to get the work done, so good to see come through for the Florida Mayhem. This is kind of the issue with having RuPaul do a reasonably late swap. He starts on towards a Moira. They give up on that strategy. Goes towards the Ana, but not enough time to build up a Nano. So no Nano Blade, no Nano on someone either. He'll receive the Nano now, which they desperately need for this fight.
Looking for Dante. He rotates over. He's grabbing back up into the Mega Pack. Keeps himself safe. Merritt in the meantime finds Rupel. And shot off the rail. Gets an ammo as well. The support's now taken down. Irish traded. Pulse bomb out from Hydra. Not going to be able to find anything. The shield was raised from Lastro. He keeps himself safe. The flip getting ready to come through. Hydra and Checkmate both going to be taken down. Someone, the only one occupying the point right now, needs to try to stay alive. Jumps over the side, trying to play elusively, but he just doesn't have anything left to work with. That one now going to be taken out once more. The OT bleeding away steadily, and that will be the closeout. Houston Outlaws, a very clean start. A bit of a back and forth here on City Center, but they get the 2-0 victory on Oasis.
And the back and forth is largely down to the fact that someone on that Primal Rage is able to do so much with that ultimate, but otherwise it's a cleanup from the Houston Outlaws. They lose one fight, they come back stronger onto the next. Merritt onto the Sojin, as deadly as ever, mentioned at the previous broadcast and has been mentioned on the desk before, but statistically the best Sojin that we have in the league, and starts to show why. I mean, he just gets these shots in so cleanly, so accurately, and Florida Mayhem, you know, this is the issue I have with the Lucio Moira sort of lineup here, is it's just so one-dimensional, and the fact that they got outpaced on that opening university really says a lot, because Lucio Moira is meant to be one of the fastest comps, and you need to be a super fast team, and Florida Mayhem didn't even get ultimates. Only Hydron got an ultimate, the other four didn't get a single ult.
Yeah, it was really a rough going for them, but now this is going to at least give the Florida Mayhem their map pick. We'll see where they decide to take us for Hybrid and come back from the break and see whether or not it's going to be good enough for them to go ahead and net themselves a map win, tie things up 1-1. The action's going to continue here at the Midseason Madness Tournament when we return, so do not go anywhere.
Please don't let me in.
Please don't let me into my zone. I just need some time of my own. All these people trying to get a conversation. You can conversate to that tone. My gut eyes on that throne, yeah. So I'm never alone, yeah. All these people trying to box me in. I'm at my weather, it's on, yeah. Now they ask where I'm at. Making hits that line back. I'm MJ, I'm 2-3, man. I just need some time back. I'm zoned in like defense. My life gone, no recess. But I live my best one, so I got no regrets. So I'm gone. Finally back in my home. I'm working like so much. They swear I had me a clone. Can't answer my phone now. Just leave it there, that tone. Ballin' can't beat me up, cause I'm back in my zone now.
Alrighty, we are back, and right now the Outlaws looking hot. Merit especially on this Sojourn, putting out an absolutely stellar performance in that first map of Oasis.
And 59% railgun accuracy as well is exceptionally high. I mean, anything above 50% is, I think, is the standard for an Overwatch League level Sojourn player. With, I don't know if this is still the same. I'll have to get Noah to double check for me. But last that I checked, Shy was leading globally #1 in terms of railgun accuracy at 60, I believe, 61%. So the only player that was above 60%, which is unbelievable as an average across all their games. But Merit being at 59, look, he's 1% off of that on just this map so far, which is great to see, and it really shows you statistically why he's so far up the table as far as Sojourn performance goes, and that should continue for the rest of the series here, as we're about to hit into the next map, which is going to be a hybrid. Piggy coming in for that, and you know, if Piggy's in, you're pretty much guaranteed to see him play the Sigma.
That you are, has been his specialty for quite some time, ever since he made his debut here on the Outlaws. We'll see how he fares now. No changes on the side of the Florida Mayhem, though. Just going to be sticking with the same 5, as Midtown is their map selection for hybrid.
And I have questions about the lack of substitution for Florida Mayhem, because this is where you would definitely normally see XEN. He usually comes in to play the Sojourn on this map. I can understand the Hydron pick for the Tracer on Oasis, but does this mean Hydron's either going to be playing more Tracer on Midtown, or is he going to be the one picking up Sojourn to try and match Merit on Midtown? What you're going to see from the Florida Mayhem, by default, should be a Doom, but I have also noted that someone's been playing a lot of Ryan on this map as well. So if you're reading this matchup correctly, as Florida Mayhem, you're McGravy, you're Gumba, you're looking at Houston Outlaws, you're thinking, Piggy's going to play here, it is going to be Sigma, can we run this over with a Ryan comp? So that's why we're looking at Checkmate going over towards May, and well, Hydron's going to be playing over towards Sojourn, which begs me the question of, shouldn't XE be in here, right? I mean, that is what they'd shown previously, so this is a bit of a departure.
Changing it up. Catching us off guard a little bit, perhaps, but the question is, will it catch the Houston Outlaws off guard? So right now they're looking fired up.
And will Houston, by the way, because Piggy just hovered the Ryan, would they consider that as well? That had been a hero that Piggy was thinking about, has been showing a little bit, and famously he did actually beat, I believe, London Spitfire in the Ryan matchup versus Hardy early on this kickoff clash now on Circuit Royale, but that's been a while since we've seen that. He's going to come out on towards the Winston, but with Piggy backing back out. Is it Ryan? It is Ryan, so they're going to go for the mirror. Interesting. I do enjoy that, though. I think that's the right call. Sigma might be a little slow here. Winston, I mean, it could work, but you're probably relying more so on seeing if Merit can get the job done early. And I think this is just mostly Houston backing themselves and saying, okay, Florida, you want to play Ryan? We're confident we can beat you here.
Wall coming up, Pelican looking to try to cut some people off, takes that Riel from the flank and immediately has to go into the ice block to try to stay alive. Immortality Field going to be committed as well. Huge pick that one up, but Pelican gets the headshot. A massive kill. Now they look for a little bit more, and they will get him. Lastro chasing deep alongside the May. They get the kill onto Anamo. Lastro going to be cleaning up a second one as well, as Checkmate will fall. That is point A broken open, and that is going to be a massive time bank to try to chew through for the Florida Mayhem on this defense.
Yeah, insanely good start. I mean, Pelican getting that opening kill as well. You have to remember, so much of the strength for the Atlanta Reign last year in 2021, when they played these brawl matchups, is Pelican's May plus Eris's back. That's now back, but it's on a different team. It's with the Houston Outlaws. Merit still gets the pound on the Sojourn. Gets himself on alive, I think, for now.
Piggy just free swinging here as the wall goes down. Pelican does get eliminated. Piggy just pulling back away, trying to stay alive. So there's plenty of barrier health. Fire strike not going to be enough to try to threaten. So you can see the wall coming up, just trying to lock them inside the firehouse for now.
First ultimate's coming online as well. Notably that someone actually has greater ult charge than Piggy on that Rhine Shatter. Could be a difference maker if Houston Outlaws did not read this correctly. Especially Piggy dead. Free shatter down.
Another shatter is for free. He messes up the pin, however. Now the immortality field comes through. Not going to be able to find a kill off the back end of that, but does at least come up the works a little bit, buy some extra time. Lastro throwing out the right click, trying to keep him at an arm's distance, but
overextended.
End up falling. And he has a little bit, ends up dying. The Blizzard's gonna be dropped in here by Pelican. Checkmate, now trying to match. Pelican finding an elimination. 3 kills coming through as Merritt claims 2 for himself, but it's just a back and forth brawl with 2 people left standing.
Animo,
what? Of it all.
Wait a minute.
He's just hugging against the wall.
He's himself.
The cart locked into place.
But that's not worth it.
Himself, but
he locks the payload for like 1 second, and that's cost Florida Mayhem 10 seconds worth of time for a 1 second payload lock. Absolutely rubbish trade for the Florida Mayhem. Wouldn't go for that. Speaking of rubbish trades, Checkmate going for the Hero Blizzard. What on earth is that? I don't really think Florida would have been able to win off that Hero Blizzard. That's a little too far.
There's a back-to-back hero plays attempted here from either side. The support from the DPS, neither of them really working out. Now Houston Outlaws get the card moving, and they got an immense amount of space to work with, especially with Checkmate going
really
down.
Good wall.
The wall cuts off the exit, beautifully timed. As Piggy looking for a little bit more. Won't be able to get any kills there, but I mean, look at this. It's just free push to the side of the Outlaws.
Real estate.
Record time and no contest to be had. Beating dropped by Anamo, but the cap is already there. It's nearly 5 minutes in the time bank. The pin comes through, and Anamo back-to-back questionable plays, drops the beat. No hope in the world whatsoever to try to get that contest through. And now the Outlaws are just cruising.
I'm gonna contradict that. I would not blame Animo on that one. That's a team call. If you're going to recontest, you're going as a team, but you need to be able to go fast enough that someone's going to touch in time. The sound barrier is fine. The fact that no one could touch is the major problem there. So I don't think that's necessarily Animo's fault, but it's not a good play for the Mayhem.
I mean, either way, it's a misidentification as to whether or not they were going to be able to get there in time. So you can go ahead and blame the entire team if you feel necessary, I suppose. As Checkmate again going to be taken out. Long pin, just dragging Piggy over to the flank, tries to drop down, manages to get a 3-man stun, but can they get the kills in the back end? Piggy the first one to fall, someone does manage to swing away, takes out Iris, looks for a little bit more. Fire Strike not going to find the kill, goes for the deep charge. Merritt with a sliver of HP does get taken down by Hydrant in the end, and finally the Florida Mayhem will be able to stop this cart in its tracks.
Yeah, 4 more minutes of this. In Houston Outlaws have plenty of time to build up charge in terms of the ultimates to get towards the end. Should be still looking at a cap. The question mark would be what kind of time bank is available. RuPaul instantly out with the window. There's 2 walls blocking it though.
Keep them locked back. Just trying to buy as much space and as much time as they possibly can. 3.5 minutes left in the time bank now from the side of the Houston Outlaws. Lastro dropping the beat as they look to go aggressively, but I don't know if too many people received that shielding or it was taken down rather quickly. Wall comes up though, looking to take out someone. Falls lower and lower. The immortality field, however, finding an immense amount of value there for the side of the Florida Mayhem. Checkmate gets Pelican, but now Merritt opens it up, finds both of the DPS with the overclock. The nade's gonna go down. Shatter dropped in. Piggy gonna be stunned up there for a moment, but it is gonna be someone who falls as Merritt claims the third in the fight. Looks for a little bit more, gets the headshot onto Anamo. There's the fourth. Can he get the last one? No, he cannot. Piggy will take that for himself. The ace going to be denied away, but the Houston Outlaws finally managed to break through. They get this push going once more.
It's still too many individual hero plays coming through. Checkmate goes for another Hero Blizzard that the entire Houston Outlaws just ignore because Merritt's already on the front lines. He's already overclocking. Someone goes for a Hero Shatter that is just not going to do enough for the team. They've already lost the team fight.
The Blizzard coming through. Overclock now out from Hydra. Needs to find some immense value, but the Shatter gets dropped in from Piggy, and the kills just come spilling forth on the back end of it all. Anamo now trying to dive forward, but once more just does not have that beat available. Gives his life for a final touch. It's 2 minutes and 17 seconds left as they complete the map. Outlaws on an absolute tear.
And I think that the key moment here for me is that B-side defense, which ended up being capped through. I don't know if I officially call that a scene. I guess it is because Florida were all there.
What B-side defense?
All, wow, yeah, it's a good call. It was more like a B-side offense at times because Florida went hard aggro on towards the B-sides, the B attacking spawn for Houston, right? See someone literally walking in nearly to the Houston spawn. He gets mega punished for that. That's not something that can afford to be happening for the Florida Mayhem because that ruins the tempo of the defense entirely. But I think the call to do the sound barrier into the final fight on B was correct. They just didn't end up touching the payload. Now, had they won that fight, I think they were favored to, considering that when we got to C, they did end up winning that fight and then initiating a spawn hold on C. that was a very winnable situation for the Florida Mayhem that just needed to happen one fight earlier so that Houston Outlaws aren't spawning right out of C, they're spawning all the way back at B instead.
Take a look back at this shatter. I mean, yep.
The funniest part about that shatter is someone got hit, but because he got frozen first, he never got put on the ground. He's just standing there like an ice block. Got a little ice cube. But in any case, we can talk about the fact that Piggy, with the capability to bring the Sigma, that's his key signature pick here, the Pigment. Florida Mayhem, I think the right call here would be to identify the Sigma, go back to spawn, and go towards the Rhine, and try and, I guess, outplay this Sigma composition with the Rhine comp instead, but they're going to go Lucio Moira. And
well, Moira is dead. Merritt finds a headshot once more. Someone also low. Tucks over into the corner. The contest started to come through. I mean, the Outlaws just continue to come up with kill after kill. That's 3 for them in the fight. The rest of the Florida Mayhem scrambling to try to exit. And Anamo is out in the middle of
they're going to get staggered. Anamo probably dies here. Yeah, this is awful. This is going to cost them so much time. I think for the Florida Mayhem, what we did see there is the high progression onto Ares despite losing a player. That's a good call to make, because if you can trade that player, then instantly die and reset, you're going to have a 5v4 as Ares slowly makes his way back from spawn. But they failed to get the kill. Great pocketing by Lastro. And then secondarily, even if they got the kill, Animo stags himself, so it wouldn't have helped them.
All right, well, second attempt. See how it fares. Both the supports already under fire, hovering around 50% HP. Someone going forward, trying to get that punch across.
Barrett again.
Barrett again. This man's headshot accuracy with these rails is absolutely insane. Comes up with another kill. Hydrant taken down. Up into the air. Doesn't quite get the tracking there to finish off. Anamo. Doesn't matter.
Fun fact.
It's on top of him.
Got a great fun fact for you. You know how we finished Oasis with 59% rail accuracy for Merritt. Currently halfway through, or just slightly over halfway through Midtown, he's sitting on 63. So he's improved by 4%, but he's crested over 60%, which is the important thing. That was a very key milestone that I did mention for Sojourn players.
Well, let's see. We'll have to keep a key.
Another opening frag.
Someone's just dead. I mean, Merritt just looks at him and he dies. It's just an explosion of death.
Achilles, this is the same thing we saw on Oasis. It's this kind of Lucio Moira, run at the other team, hope for the best type of composition. And I truly think, revisiting this, they've already shown that they can play the Rhine. Yeah, okay, did they lose the Rhine battle? Maybe. But the Rhine matchup versus the Sigma, I think, is a reasonable matchup for the Rhine. The fact that they don't choose to do that seems to be really weird. And here's the other thing. If you snowball that win, let's say you beat Piggy Sigma with your Rhine, and Houston swap Rhine as well, you've snowballed. You just lost another play. It's not even Merit, but it doesn't matter. It's another 5v4.
Okay, they get a stick. Hydrant does manage to find an opening kill, and it's on to Merit, which is probably the highest value target that he can get at this point. But everybody else is still alive. And they now have 5 ults for this defense with a minute and 25 seconds left to go, looking for the full hold. Florida may have close to ults as well. Checkmate for the blade.
Florida need ultimates as well, but they need to get them now. Someone's already had to use his.
Okay, well, there's the opener. Coalescence going through, matched by the Transcendence from Lastro. Now the Nano Boost going to be used on the Pelican as the blade comes in, and he instantly dashes through, finds one. Checkmate with his own blade will find Merit. Pelican looking for a little bit more, and it's going to be good enough. They get the cleanup. Just the 2 kills to be found. Florida Mayhem going to have to reset. That was everything invested. Houston Outlaws still hold on to the overclock, and now it's 45 seconds remaining.
And the overclock is probably enough to finish this as well. I think for Florida there, the best case scenario is they burn minimum ultimates and force maximum ultimate expenditure out of Houston Outlaws. Here, it's a pretty even trade, and even then, Houston finishes with 1. Exactly, it ends up being a really even trade, so that works for Houston's favor. Florida do not win economically on that fight.
Trying to get the accretion hit, can't quite get someone, but Pelican just finds 2. He gets a 3rd.
It's over.
Merritt now with the overclock rolling, trying to track down Hydrant. He does play a little bit more elusively, but Merritt has to clean up the last 2 kills going his way. There's the team kill. It's 10 seconds remaining. Someone has respawned, but can he get the touch? We'll have to just wait and see. The Houston Outlaws, they are playing so very far forward. And no, they're not going to be able to make it there in time. A full hold in reply. Houston Outlaws making it look easy, just speeding their way through this series now at match point. And just like Atlanta Reign in that first series, the Mayhem are in a position where they need to reverse sweep.
And this is where, you know, you look at what Florida Mayhem are choosing to do, especially on that attack and also on Oasis, and you're like, if Dallas Fuel are not succeeding and not finding victories with their own Lucio Moira, and they are like the Lucio Moira team, having Rush pioneered that composition last year, what hope can you have that this is going to work for you? I just do not think that's a good composition to play. It doesn't have enough, and I think they had the answer in front of them. I'm just so surprised that Ryan wasn't the answer to play against Pick. Now when we move forward, by the way, for future map choices, Florida better not pick Circuit, because I don't think you want to be playing Sigma into Pigma anymore. You need to be picking something that's not Circuit Royale. For sure.
Well, you can see keyboard being wrapped up there, XE walking across the screen, so I think that kind of tells us, you know, what's going to be happening here in the very near future as far as the lineup is concerned from the side of the Mayhem. We'll see if there's going to be any additional changes on top of that, and, you know, what the map pick is going to be, because it needs to be a good one, and it needs to get them a win if they want to stay alive in this series. A reverse sweep is what is necessary unless they want to fall down to that loser's bracket. We'll see if they can make it work when we come back from the break. And welcome back, guys. There's no better time than now, and as we have the Midseason Madness finally officially kicked off. Make sure to submit your art celebrating your favorite team, your favorite region, whatever it is. We know it's APAC, you know, as far as favorite regions are concerned. Go ahead and submit your artwork. We want to see what you guys have for us. And look at it all on Overwatch League in the fan art gallery and have your stuff featured. I already had some nice fan art earlier on Twitter, which was great. So thank you so much to the artist who made a nice little doodle about me. Yeah, very cute. Very.
How do I get a doodle?
And I want to see more of it.
Can we get a can we get a duo doodle? Does that work? I don't know.
Yeah. Yeah, can we get, you know,
am I allowed to make
we got
requests?
the matching kind of shirts going on.
Yeah.
Have a little caster doodle duo going on. Anyway, let's talk about
moving into the. I was thinking like, can I? Let's doodle some new players. Does that work? No, it doesn't. Let's just see what happens here with Exy coming in now. Most likely to play some sniper. So the map that Houston needs to go for here is a map that you can play Winston and a Widowmaker on. So this is going to really push Merit to the limit to see, okay, can Merit match up on the Widowmaker or not? Something that he wasn't super known for a contender, so maybe that's been rapidly improving in the Overwatch League with the Houston Outlaws. We're about to find out. Piggy staying in here is going to be interesting because he's going to need to bring out some dive tanks if we move to something like a Gibraltar, right? That is probably the most likely right call to make. A Dorado could be interesting, but still has a lot of movement room for the Sigma to get work done. You want to take Piggy into an uncomfortable territory where you can't just rely on the Sigma, and you want to make sure someone gets to play something like the Winston, which was actually pretty reasonable on the city center. So play to Mayhem's strengths here with their map picks and try and remove Outlaws from some of their strengths.
Well, we'll see if they're going to be able to get it done as we get ready to go into this third and, you know, potentially final map. Always have to put that out there, as the Outlaws are already at match point. One of the things I was kind of thinking about during the break, Avril, is, and I don't mean to be a jerk, but before we take a look at these stats, this has felt like one of the most one-sided series that we've commentated so far this season.
It's probably up there because, well, definitely in a tournament. It just feels like, you know, the Florida Mayhem, they don't look all quite there for this matchup today. I mean, I especially noted that as we, you know, and I hope Exy can sort of save them here as we look at some of the comparisons on the Sojourn, even though I expect Exy to be mostly playing Widowmaker on this map. Some of the more glaring things for me is just the fact that, you know, on Midtown, the amount of solo plays that each player on the Mayhem was often going for, like Checkmate twice, trying to make these heroic Blizzard plays on his own, completely disjointed from the team, and both times just completely failing as well. You know, I've seen someone go for the big shatter play when he's like, it's just him and one other person alive versus most of the Houston Outlaws being there. They're just such low probability plays that if you're trying to play percentage or flowchart Overwatch, which is what I consider to be clean Overwatch, if you're trying to play that style of Overwatch, you're just doing it all wrong because you're going for the low percentage plays way too often, and they're all solo plays as well.
Yeah. Well, there's a hell of a lot of, you know, cracks that kind of fill in here, I think, for the side of the Mayhem to stop everything from falling apart. Exy, is he good enough to be the glue to keep it together? That is kind of the question. I mean, we just had the stats up there, him versus Merit. Not that much of a disparity between the two.
I'll tell you what.
So we know that he can absolutely perform on that Sojourn, but is it going to be good enough?
If he comes out on the Widowmaker and kind of, I don't know, has the sort of Kai level performance that we saw in our previous match where Atlanta were not looking good versus London, let's be very clear about that, but then on circuit, big Widowmaker map, Kai comes through and just demolishes the London Spitfire. That kind of needs to happen now for the Florida Mayhem versus Houston. Gibraltar, not as heavy of a sniper map as Circuit Royale, but still a very, very good sniper map nonetheless. So, you know, bring in XEM, third map deep, when historically I think it would have been more prudent to have him in the previous map, but, you know, we'll trust that maybe Florida felt like Hydron had potential other looks he could have pulled out. Maybe they were planning on playing a bit of Trace, it just never panned out for them. Now they are just going to rely on Exy, and so this has to be the turnaround moment for the Florida Mayhem.
And that it does. Gibraltar, all that is now standing between the Houston Outlaws and a 3-0 victory to kick off their own Midseason Madness Tournament. The Florida Mayhem needing to dig deep. You're talking about the Sojourn stats there, of course, from Exy, but the thing that made he made his name on was the Widowmaker way back when I got to cast his initial debut. And he was utterly impeccable at Widowmaker back in 2018 Contenders, and he still is.
And well, I have to find out if Merit decides to match or not, because I'll be straight, I haven't watched every single Houston Outlaws game this entire season. We've been busy in APAC, but my point here is, I don't know how much Widowmaker Merit's been playing. His history on O2 Blast is he sat behind Kilo when Kilo was his teammate playing the Widowmaker. So if Merit comes through on this now, I don't know how practice it is compared to everybody else, especially considering that, like you mentioned, this is Xy's signature hero. So we're expecting a lot of Xy on this Widowmaker.
Taking to the skies there, Pelican sending a couple shots his way. Xy so far not quite finding the connections that he's looking for. And there's the dive. Takes a quick grapple over to the side, and Lou's getting hit by that rail. Now looks to challenge. As Merit just jiggles back and forth in the line of sight, but does not get hit. Cart starting to inch forward now. Someone relocating. Cart advancing in. Piggy just leaping up onto the high ground, and Amo going to be antied out here for the moment, but bubbles come through. Will be safe. No one really in a position to really challenge him and find that opening pick onto the Brigida.
I'll tell you one thing, because Houston Outlaws don't have a Tracer or a Genji here, no one is the dedicated cart pusher. It's not really ideal because you want Piggy mostly playing for dive pressure on the high ground. You don't want him to pushing payload. Pelican, be a little bit sneaky here. He's also not a great payload pusher, neither is Merit. So that's probably going to be the one weakness of this A push. Someone is going to go down.
Yeah, okay, they find enough damage, and on the peel, I don't even think he was antied out. I think it was Piggy actually got antied. Someone goes down, they get on top of Xy, and that is just going to be the spiral. As, yeah, the cap looking inevitable, barring an absolute miracle, but with Checkmate dead, someone does leap up onto the high ground, but
even if he touches,
would definitely be suicidal.
That's the thing, right? He just dies if he touches, so it's a free A capture. What you actually see there, despite me saying it should be difficult for Houston to push, great pick by Xy, by the way, is that Houston's still got a good push on that A payload progression, since Mayhem never really challenged that. So that should be one area that Mayhem had under lock, but they couldn't even control the payload.
Xy does get taken down. Piggy able to find him. Opens up things a bit here for the side of the Houston Outlaws as they look to make their way into the hangar. The door now shutting. The cart ready to be pushed forward once more. Piggy going to be antied out, taking a nap. Poison trap actually said earlier.
You take those.
Does find Merit. He ends up going down. Here's a primal well into the back though as Piggy tries to find an elimination onto the enemy Widowmaker. Has to rotate out. Grabs that health pack. Now is going to be antied. Wants to grab the other mega pack and eventually will be allowed to do so. But he is very disconnected from the rest of his team as the Florida Mayhem look to go aggro. And throw out the nano boost onto someone. He gets on top of Lastro, finds the kill, looks for a little bit more. And with the alley-oop from Checkmate, they will find Iris. So now with the supports out of the fight, the Houston Outlaws are going to have to reset.
That was an excellent collapse from Florida Mayhem, so credit where credit is due. With Piggy out of the fight, and he's technically still out of the fight here, Houston Outlaws lose their main tank player entirely, and Florida Mayhem just go for the back line. They know they have a 5v4 situation while Piggy's still healing up, looking for health packs, right? They don't over-chase him, which is exactly what you want to see. Piggy still being here is a little bit annoying for Florida to work against, but they have to also consider the fact that Houston can't really push forward from spawn without their main tank, or can they? Because apparently someone just dies to Pelican.
Yeah. He's getting eliminated. Piggy taking a nasty shot there. Good whip shot from Anamo as well. Just keeps him zoned back for a moment. Leaps forward once more. Some of the nano rolling, and with Pelican joining in the fight, that's going to be Xy taken down. Rally now going to be popped, and Amo looking to escort them back forward, but both supports are going to get clipped by this.
They're not pushing. They have spawn control, but they can't push up. Yeah, I think somebody was contesting. It might have been Checkmate or whatever, but let's see if this copy can get them.
Someone actually. I think he jumped forward and was able to contest that one, and now has the primal popped. He's having to get the back. Will get on top of Lastro, finds that elimination as Pelican went for the dupe. Tries to build up the nano, gets it, throws it out on the Piggy, but will be taken away from him as they break that. Goes straight back into the Echo form now as Piggy continues to play forward. The primal online, pops it, looks for a target, jumps over the side, finds Xy once more, who just has not been able to play the game too much right now on this Widowmaker. Piggy continues to get on top of him time and time again. Lamo now taken down. The overclock shot from Merit finds someone. That's going to be the card rolling into B. So an extra minute and a half added, and it's just shy of 4 minutes in the time bank now.
Yeah, this could be staggers as well because players got bad spawns. Kind of unlucky for both Xy and Animo, specifically Animo. Looks like he might be able to get out with it though. And Xy even punishes Pelican for overextending. Does get traded by Merit here. I was going to say, Florida Mayhem did a good job of stalling the payload while they were being kept out from the entire B point, but ends up not being enough to really save them B at all. We're still looking for the pop-off moment from Exi to really control the tempo of Houston Outlaws the way Kai was doing to London earlier. Been a bit quiet from Exi so far, not gonna lie.
Honestly, I don't even think Checkmate was spotted there. Decides to back up all the same. Now has to pop the recall. Someone getting into the back line, trying to out-pressure. Cannot do so, has to make his exit, and Checkmate gets found before he can even use the pulse bomb. Pelican striking him down in the melee finish.
Nano coming up.
Someone just tucked away. Piggy jumping into the back. The anti-nade going to be good. Finds both the supports on the side of the Houston Outlaws, but they will be safe. They'll dive through. So still rejoining the fight.
How much free push can Houston get before they're forced to go for Nano? I mean, maybe this is it now, okay.
Dive into the back once more.
Trent's coming online as well.
Anybody that he could possibly get. Next, he's now going to be swapping it up. Tries to go over to the Soldier. The pulse bomb thrown in. Checkmate doesn't find anything in merit. Will claim him with a rail. Someone has the primal pop, but the
just gets burned
out. The focus fire is just too damn good. They melt right through his HP bar. The rally rolling from an ammo, but it's just nowhere near enough HP. Everybody else is locked into the spawn room. The Houston Outlaws will be able to push to the finish here on Gibraltar. 2 minutes and 27 seconds remaining.
And I think there was only one reset there for the Houston Outlaws, and that was when Piggy went for the super deep dive with the primal onto Exi, then goes for a couple of health packs onto the back, on C, while Florida Mayhem played a 5-4. That was the one clean fight that Florida Mayhem did get, and it was a well-deserved clean fight win, and the only time they fully reset the Houston Outlaws. Why I mentioned the resets is important is because that's the key moment for your Widowmaker to establish control. Because once the fight actually starts and you lose map control, your Widowmaker gets less and less value, the more pushed up Houston Outlaws are. But if Houston Outlaws are reset, they're back in spawn, you now control the entire hangar, and Exi has maximum coverage of the entire map space on B to play with. The fact that Florida Mayhem couldn't really give Exi more is not allowing. This Widowmaker is not working out as well as it should have, I think is the conclusion that I want to reach towards, because 3 final blows for Exi here, which still is one higher than the rest of his team. I think, we got Summon, Checkmate, and RuPaul all on 2. They're all not really getting the frags in, but you need to see this Widowmaker in particular on, I think A was a little bit concerning, B more so as well because of the lack of space to play through. Lack of sightlines on B can be an issue if you're not able to get some clean time just to scope in. The fact that, once Houston Outlaws, like we're seeing here, get the fight in, Piggy's on your backline, he's primarily, he's specifically targeting Exi as well, that we noticed in several fights. Yeah, that just doesn't allow Exi to do anything.
All right, here we go. The gate's now opening up. As someone taking a nap off the rip, but we'll be fine. No one from the Houston Outlaws looking to go that far forward and try to get a punish, and Lastro is actually going to be headshotting Exi.
He's been targeted. I mean, has the highest amount of deaths so far across the board on the server. 6 deaths, the next highest someone to check out on 4. Piggy hasn't died yet, so he's still deathless on this Winston, which is rare for, I think, a tank player on Gibraltar, so...
Seems unbelievable given the slim margins that he was playing around with at times on that attack, especially in the hangar. There's Exi again looking for a target.
You need someone to be... There we go, someone's jumped in. That would have been the time for Exi to get a frag. But he was actually relocating his angle while someone went in, so it's a little bit disjointed.
With a pop shot. Just his options. None of them very good. Even Piggy playing back, breaking line of sight, making sure that he's not going to get tagged up by the Widowmaker.
Okay, warning shot onto Pelican.
Cleared out.
Look at the difference in Nano, by the way. Eris is about to get this, which means Houston can strike first if they want.
Yep, now has it ready to go. RuPaul still 21% off. Having that ult ready to go. Someone does have a nice lead over Piggy as far as the primal is concerned, though. So potentially can open things up in that regard. We'll have to just wait and see. But Exi going to be taken down by Lastro once more. Piggy doesn't see the nano boost. He's going to be slept. But can they get a punish is the question. Doesn't have that nano, so damage mitigation going to be huge. And yeah, they'll just let him wake up naturally. Someone does pop the primal, gets into the back line, finds Lastro. Exi can be breathing a sigh of relief now, feeling a little bit safer perhaps. As Piggy once more going to be slept as he jumps onto the high ground. They look for the elimination, the ante comes down, and they will be able to get the punish. Checkmate picking up the kill. There you go.
And he was asleep as well. He actually...
We found here for the side of the Florida Mayhem, but now the blade is going to be pulled. Pelican going into the back lines, finds RuPaul, looks for a little bit more, just trying to hide his head. As Exi tries to trade this one back, 9 HP, and we'll be able to get him in the very end.
As you do see Merit going down there with a popping his ult, but Piggy, by the way, I've got to mention, is he was slept, so he couldn't pop the Primal. Otherwise, he probably wouldn't have done. He'll have the Primal now, so they have plenty to play through. Lastro can follow up this with a trance. If Animo dies, it's probably the fight over.
Still holds on to the rally. Piggy not going to be getting too much done there. As the rally comes through, Overclock is out. Merit looking for a head, just gets body tags, but someone still does end up falling. Anti-nade out onto 2. They're looking for the follow-up kills here, though, are the Florida Mayhem, and so far they're only able to find Lastro. Iris under a little bit of fire, but he's going to survive. The Nano now available, and Piggy gets Exy. Iris going to be taken down. He doesn't get to use the ultimate. Absolutely massive, now with Merit falling. Definitely a big window here for the Florida Mayhem to be able to win out the fight and get this cap coming through. Pelican trying to keep it contested, but ends up dying. It'll take them down below a minute, but it's not going to be a full hold, not this time. Cap is there on to A. Now 3 minutes and 20 seconds of the time bank for the Florida Mayhem.
They really want to stagger Eris out here, maybe force him to misplay, pop in an ultimate early, not going to happen. Great pocketing by Lastro, using Outlaws safely back out of that situation. But speaking of Eris, he gets taken down there without getting a chance to use his Nano. Humongous difference maker. Merit as well, not quite finding purchase on that overclock, is also going to mean that the Outlaws don't get the kind of kill pressure that they normally have. They needed basically Piggy to jump on top of Exy with Merit to get him down, and Exy even traded himself. So brilliant play by Exy in that situation.
Well, ult's limited on either side at the moment. Florida Mayhem, though, dangerously close to having 5. Amo going to be the furthest one right now, trying to build up for that next rally. It's definitely a window of opportunity to work with. There's the overclock popped. Piggy trying to contest on the high ground, does force Exy's position for a moment, gets great headshot there onto Merit. Sniping him down, finds Lastro as well in the back end, but Piggy now nanoed up, dives into the back line, does manage to find the punish. Gets slept, Anti goes through, he still has the Primal to rely on. He is going to pop it, he's got multiple members locked into a very small room. It's going to be the supports now taken down. Checkmate off screen, able to find Iris in the end of it all. Piggy moving back into the dropship, keeps himself protected, and all of this, the card is actually rolling back.
And Houston Outlaws could potentially chase further, but they're respected because Piggy's too low HP. If Piggy got healed up, and that's maybe easier said than done when he's super, super low and you have limited time to go after Florida, they could have maybe have gotten further kills and staggers, which would have put Florida further behind. But well played by Piggy there. Primal actually gets a decent amount of value. Someone with the Nano here gets kill Merit.
Huge. Iris stuck with a pulse bomb. Checkmate finds that elimination. The support's now out of the fight. The lion's share of their damage taken away. Pelican will get dropped. No chance of a hero play with the blade. It seems like that should be the Florida Mayhem breaking through, getting that extra minute and a half added to the time bank. They so desperately need. And there you go. 2 minutes 53. So right now, not going to be able to best the time bank of the Houston Outlaws. That is very much gone hope for them. But they can still get this finish and take it to extra innings.
But I can feel the momentum shifting a little bit, right? Because there's a little bit of hope now that Florida Mayhem can actually get this cap. Someone probably dives a little bit too deep there, but you know, for the rest of it, Florida Mayhem got a decent number of kills. You just need to see a little bit more discipline, especially out of players like someone that, you know, has been noted for getting quite aggro. That's going to allow Houston Outlaws to start taking some map control. So it's not insignificant that someone overextending there is a bit of a negative impact, because otherwise Florida would have had map control instead. Look at Piggy, by the way.
Ready, Merit. See what he can get done. Yeah, Piggy hovering just above, ready to strike. Someone moving up onto the high ground looking to contest him. They do take Piggy down to about half HP, and he will make his exit, joining back in with the rest of the Houston Outlaws over towards point C. Just hiding behind the pillar there. Does get topped up. There's going to be the blade. The Nano Blade pulled out. Exy, the first one to fall. They do get the anti-nade out onto Pelican, but can they get the finishing blow? Looks like the answer is going to be no. The Nano helps keep him alive as he comes up with 3 kills. Checkmate in the back line, able to find Lastro, but that is not going to do a damn thing for the Florida Mayhem as they have to reset.
Silver lining here for Florida is that they did win economically. 0 ults traded for 2 from the Houston Outlaws. So when we get to the end point, the goal, remember, is to cap here. So Florida Mayhem, no illusions of matching 227. In fact, no illusions of getting any sort of major time bag. Just getting 0 and capping would be a pretty major win here. So pushing for, I think, what is like a kind of final push, we have 5 ultimates, is pretty ideal. But with Piggy coming up to Primal, it's going to be easier said than done. That one Primal can stall out for a very long time.
Pulse bomb at the ready, Checkmate. He's got his targets in his sights. Looking for Lastro, but that's going to be the Transcendence forced here off the rip. Merit now juggled into the corner by someone who's falling lower.
They didn't nano someone!
Under the Winston, doing an immense amount of work, and no, they did not. goes out on the checkmate of all people, and he does manage to make use of it though. Finds Lastro to open things up. The overclock from Mexi now going to be expiring, still holds onto this 100 charge rail, tries to catch Pelican, but he does manage to stay elusive, dashing away. Checkmate was traded out. Piggy waiting for his moment to go in for the recontest, but he's hovering lower and lower as far as the HP is concerned. He ends up getting dropped. 1.23 meters left to go now for the side of the Florida Mayhem with 32 seconds left to try to make it happen. Lastro going to be taken out. However, Anamo gets traded. Pelican and Merritt still just trying to keep this card contested, and it's got to be all on Pelican right now. He falls lower and lower. Pops the recall. Piggy rejoins the fight, coming now out on the Diva. Pelican does get taken down. Everything invested now on this D.Va to try to keep things going, but there's just so much damage focus coming through, and the D-Matrix is not going to be good enough. Lastro antied out, forced away. The supports cannot touch. We go to extra innings as it strikes overtime. A minute for the Florida Mayhem versus 3:18. They need to have an immaculate push and defense to the Florida Mayhem if they want to extend this series.
Houston trying their best to stall that one out further if they could, because Arius is very, very close to Nano. You see it just coming online towards the end there. So if they could have kept Piggy up for a couple more seconds, he would have received Nano, and that would have been the potential for a bit of a turnaround. No idea if it could actually happen, but it certainly would have been on the cards. Florida Mayhem, thankfully, will still be able to get a good push in despite missing the Nano onto someone. I'm going to stick on that a little bit longer because it's very important that someone as the only tank player here that's in the front lines, he's on 1 HP. He doesn't get the Nano. He has to fly back. And you Nano checkmate, cool. He's going to replace someone in the front lines. You now have a 300 HP Tracer who trades himself 1-for-1 here. That's still not really ideal for the loss of map control. Florida still swing it back around, but that wasn't clean in my opinion. Keeping someone in the game would have been far stronger. It's just tiny nitpicks like this, but again, Florida will get it across the board, so we'll breathe a sigh of relief. The goal was to cap with any amount of time, no illusions of getting a good time back. They are looking for a situation where they can make a lot out of the single minute that they have here. So if they can cap A, they give themselves the opportunity to win. 3:18 is a lot of time compared to the 1 here, so Florida, I think, to actually win this map reliably, probably do have to cap A.
Gates opening. A minute in the time bank. Not very comfortable at all for the side of the Florida Mayhem. He said need to be absolutely immaculate with this attack. Nexi once more back over to the Widowmaker. Has not found the most success so far. Needs to be clicking heads if they want to get some distance gained.
Yeah, 20% scope critical hit. You want to see a little bit higher than that on a star Widowmaker player. At least he's, he has had that reputation. Needs to continue and prove it again, I would say. But opening neutral here is reasonable for the Florida Mayhem. Not going to see some real action until Payload gets up the hill.
Oh, he's jumped on. Okay, tries to make his exit. Pelican not going to over pursue. Pulls back away. Doesn't move down into the car wash. Instead, just sits at the top of the hill, just keeping the card contested, not allowing it to roll up any further.
There's no ultimates, by the way. Very low on the ultimate charge, which means it comes down to first picks.
It's full neutral fight territory.
Big neg.
Anti goes out on the 2. Piggy and Pelican both down to about half HP, but the Anti expires.
That needed to be a kill!
Like Exy, he's looking for the shot, but he doesn't quite manage to make it connect. He does stay alive. He looks for Merritt. Makes him a little bit lower, but has to back away once more. It's going to be a trade out, a 1-for-1 as they both kill each other from beyond the grave. The card advancing once more.
Watch the Nanos.
Apply the Discord Orb out onto him. Iris now going to be Anti. The Sleep Dart connects onto Rupel. As they look for the elimination, it's going to be Lastro taken down, but now the front line broken down to the side of the Florida Mayhem. Exy swapping over to the Soldier just to try to rejoin a little bit faster. The card continues to advance. Closer and closer, Piggy drops back down. And that's going to be the Nano out. Anamo trying to keep it contested, but I guess he wasn't close enough.
I'm gonna be honest here.
He doesn't touch it.
It's a technical C9. Well, it is a C9 because they let me explain it. It is a C9 because he was on the payload. But it's not a C9 in the fact that I don't think they were winning. Like, to me, there's two definitions, right? It's like, should you just have touched the payload in any circumstance? And then there's, you are winning the fight, and then you just don't touch the payload or something like that. But in this case, they were superbly down. The Nano ends up going to Animo. Very minimal impact that's going to have for you. You needed someone to stay alive there who was, by the way, 88%. So if you have a situation where you have someone still alive, you give him the Nano, he builds a primal off that, that's a potential win condition for the Florida Mayhem. Really need to see more from Exy again, because we saw that it looked like a free kill going to server onto Lastro, and he whiffs the shot. Like, you cannot be missing that. That's got to be a guaranteed kill. That would have been the 5v4 that really swings it for Florida Mayhem at the top of the fight, and they don't cap. And this is where I think things are going to be problematic, because if you remember the Florida A defense or regulation, it wasn't good. That's why I'm saying Florida need to cap it, because I don't think they win unless they cap A, and they're going to have a masterful defense now to have any hope of winning this map.
Yeah, I mean, this would be a monstrous Fuller hold if they could pull it off. Otherwise, the Houston Outlaws are looking for a very swift 3-0 victory. 3 minutes and 18 seconds to work with. Xe once more back over onto the Widowmaker. Sends out a shot, finds a couple tags thus far. The elimination's not there, but his last one tries to drop down off the high ground. That is the exact shot that he needed to hit.
Yeah, making up for it now.
If he can do that 50 more times, they can get this Fuller hold.
Do that over the course of 3 minutes, right? You know, I think it's possible. I think you absolutely can. Pelican's also going towards the Genji now. So they'll give them a little bit more capability to push the payload, but someone's already just kind of keeping them busy towards the ground. Get another kill to Eris, just keeps things into 5v4, which is exactly what Florida want.
Yep. One support respawns, the other one dies. Headshot there on a Piggy. So Xe seemingly warmed up a bit, but all it takes is one coordinated dive from Piggy and Pelican to get rid of Xe. Now they're looking for it, and he's just none the wiser. Scoped in, completely tunneled on his target, and Pelican gets right on top of him. A right click to the skull. Goodbye, good night. The Widow's out of the fight.
Worse than that, the payload's starting to move now. This is not good for Florida Mayhem. They need to find Trays almost immediately. Even if Houston loses fight, Pelican can push this to the upper hill. So, you know, that's going to be a momentum shift. They're actually winning the fight anyway.
Yeah, they're chasing in. Someone is not going to be allowed to escape. The kills come through. Checkmate is only able to find Eris. Xe, on his return, does get Pelican. Card for now not going to be getting advanced forward.
It's a good trade.
Checkmate will find Lastro. A couple kills coming in. The card is not moving. That's going to give time for the rest of the Florida Mayhem to rejoin.
That's because Xe killed the pusher, which is Pelican. He's a dedicated card pusher, but not only that, Checkmate held up the entire back line, trades his own life while just completely denying Houston Outlaws from making space. It is still a holdable position for Florida Mayhem. Not quite over just yet, especially with Primal Rage online. Florida, they had a very poor fight just previously, but they can still recover.
Okay, some more headshots going through. Piggy just getting chipped away at. The Infrasight rolling. Eris hiding. Keeps himself safe for the moment. Xe falling lower and lower as the pursuit comes in. Dangerously deep from Piggy. Now he's going to pop the Primal Rage. He's looking to get rid of this Widowmaker. The full focus to the side of the Florida Mayhem. Trying to keep Xe alive, but they cannot do it. Piggy finds that elimination. Finds an ammo as well, but Checkmate.
No supports.
God's work right now if you're a Florida fan. Gets rid of the supports. Pelican down to a sliver of HP as well. Has to try to escape. Checkmate pops the recall. Someone says, yep, I'm just going to occupy card space right now. Rail comes across. Merritt now popping the overclock. The dive comes through. He throws the nade over towards server room.
Oh, good sleep.
Care about that. The sleep guard connects. They get the elimination. The kills continue to fly through, and it's 38 seconds remaining. Florida Mayhem, can they make it happen? There's a trade and a blade.
We are seeing mistakes from Houston. There's a blade here because they didn't wait for it earlier. They're trying to run before they can walk. Houston Outlaws just need to pace themselves a little bit. They had a full minute to work with, and that was the fight that they didn't need to throw everything into. Play for the nano blade. They put the nano onto a different player instead, and now Pelican has a dry blade. Hope for the best.
Can't keep him alive through with the Transcendence, barring an anti-nade out from Rupel.
Rally's up.
Time ticking lower and lower. The rally is online, as you say, and I'm popping that one instantly, but both supports going to get clipped by an anti. Dive into the back, Pelican looking for Xe. The second slice, managing to find the kill. 4.79 meters left to go.
No more ultimates.
Falling lower and lower. The Discord Orb is out. Lastro able to clean him up. And there's no kills to be found right now for the side of the Florida Mayhem. They need to get something, but they are finding absolutely nothing. Checkmate, the last one alive, trying to keep it contested, and he cannot. It was looking possible. They drained the clock down after a 3 minute and 18 second start, but they cannot stop the Houston Outlaws. Just too much time to work with. The final ults are good enough. And it's going to be a 3-0 victory here for the Houston Outlaws to stay in the upper bracket. Florida Mayhem, however, they fall down.
Yeah, it all comes down to the A push coming through, and this is where, you know, Florida Mayhem, a little bit more distance. If they could get more in that 1 minute, I understand that maybe it sounds a little bit unreasonable because what you can get in 1 minute is very little, but this is where, you know, you need to turn that inch into a mile for sure if you're the Florida Mayhem. Push it over towards B, and then we're looking towards a real win condition. 3 minutes is plenty for Houston to work with, and even then, I think Houston probably got a little bit too greedy at various times, and we'll go back to the Eris Pelican moment where he, you know, puts a nano into Pelican, hoping to build the blade during the nano, and it just does not work for them. They lose that fight. Credit to Florida Mayhem for keeping it very competitive on the end for this watch point Gibraltar. Look, the attack was starting to get somewhere, you know. Again, no hope for them to get any meaningful time back, but just pushing us into the actual time back itself and, you know, to get the extra innings, I think is an important step for the Florida Mayhem to show that they can compete. Didn't really happen in the first 2 maps though, so sure. that part's a little bit disappointing, but at least Gibraltar showing signs of life.
Yeah, I mean, and after what was, you know, witnessed on that on that Midtown, it was definitely good to see the signs of life coming out from them. But Houston Outlaws just certainly had their number today, a relatively one-sided affair overall. And let's go ahead and take a look at our player of the match for the Houston Outlaws. And I think you could have made a couple arguments across the board, but it's going to be Merritt walking away with the W at the end of it all.
And Merritt, I think we had our eyes on him right from the very beginning, straight on that one, noted how clean he was on the Sojin, and really, you know, proving why he is kind of touted as one of, if not the top Sojin that we currently have, especially, you know, I think given that Kai looked a little bit lesser than what we expected on his opening matchup versus London today, and Merritt coming through very dominant versus the Florida Mayhem. Very well-deserved player of the game, even just tracking his stats across both the maps. He improved his railgun hit accuracy on that second map here. Still reasonably good on Gibraltar, 55% right. It's above 50, which is, I think, the floor for an Overwatch League professional on Sojin. Just a fantastic player overall.
Yeah, I mean, from the outset, was just looking incredible, and I thought, I was getting hopeful a little bit. He did flash the Widowmaker for a moment as they were getting ready to open the door to the attack. I thought maybe he was going to go for it, but he did not. But I mean, you're talking about, you know, hitting that 50%. In the end, his overall is 58, which is fantastic throughout the, you know, entire length of a series. So continues to just keep his numbers up towards that 60% mark. So utterly impeccable performance from Merritt, who just is definitely making a name. He wants to, you know, throw his hat in the ring and say, yeah, I'm in consideration for best Sojourn in NA as well.
Yeah, and, you know, maybe further than that when they eventually play up against some of the APAC teams. You know, we have some great Sojins from there as well. But honestly, a very good opening for the day, considering you know, our first time, or at least my first time for sure overall, but, you know, our first time as a duo this year, casting some NA teams and, you know, getting to see what they're up to. And honestly, I'm liking it. You know, very impressed by teams like London today. Hoping to see great stuff out of them further. But the one game I think we've all been waiting for, Achilles, is one that actually comes up after, because we're finally going to get some cross-regional gameplay.
That we are, and it's going to be exciting, but of course, that's gonna happen after a little bit of a break. We're going to have the desk cut when we come back, break down a bit of the action here from this second series of the day, but we're just at the midway point. There's still more, you know, 2 more series to be played out. That's going to be it from myself and Avril for today, though. It's going to be, you know, brought to you by Necra and the tiny British man. I forget his name.
Yeah,
but anyway, they're going to be bringing you guys the action for those matches, so make sure you guys stay tuned, and the desk will be breaking things down on the back end of this break. Love you. We'll see you next time.
잘했어. 민준아.
와, 소주 못 살 뻔했네.
Welcome to Game Break, everybody. I'm here joined now by Piggy from Houston Outlaws. Piggy, congratulations on the win. And I'm going to be honest, I was actually sitting across from you guys from the backdrop, and I heard a lot from you. You were very vocal. You were cheering for your team. You were honestly screaming at the top of your lungs a lot of the times. You know, at every team fight you guys won throughout the whole match. So was this sort of a strategy that Houston came up with to intimidate the opponents? I mean, those were, you know, the other teams that were sitting across from you guys, or are you just simply just kind of like that? You know, do you just normally just have that personality? 자, 첫 번째 질문은 일단 오늘 경기 승리 축하드리면서, 오늘 경기를 보면서 제가 굉장히 좀 되게 특이하고 좀 재밌었던 게 피기 선수가 경기 도중에 굉장히 소리를 많이 내시더라고요. 뭐 이렇게 소리도 많이 지르고 이제 팀들이 좀 이길 때마다 좀 이렇게 많은 소리를 좀 내셨는데, 이게 좀 전략적으로 상대방 팀을 좀 위협하기 위함이었는지, 아니면 원래 그냥 피기 선수가 좀 그런 이제 좀 이렇게 화이팅이 넘치는 선수인가요?
원래도 화이팅이 넘치긴 한데 이제 상대 선수가 앞에 있으니까 더 압박 느끼라고 더 심하게 했던 것 같아요.
All right, I am normally, I'm a very vocal player, but also it was sort of a strategy as well, where we wanted to sort of intimidate and sort of play with the opponent's mental as well. Oh, all right, that's an actually very interesting and smart strategy from Houston. Now, my second question for you, Piggy, is I think in Midtown it was where you guys came up with the Winston dive, and then as soon as you saw the Florida Mayhem pull out the Ryan Rush competitions, you guys went for the mirror. What was the specific reason for that? 자, 두 번째 질문은 이제 미드타운에서 이제 원래 딱 처음 시작했을 때 윈스턴 다이브로 나오셨다가 플로리다 팀이 라인 조합을 들고 나오는 걸 보면서 이제 미러전으로 가게 되셨는데, 그에 대한 좀 이유를 여쭤봐도 될까요? 제가 들고 있겠습니다. I will hold the mic. God, it's been so long. It's been so long with this interaction. I will hold the mic.
저희가 런던도 라인하르트 미러전 이겼던 그게 있어가지고, 라인 미러 조합에 엄청 자신 있어서 상대가 라인 들고 오면 그냥 라인으로 맞받아치는 식으로 하고 있어요, 저희.
Right. I mean, we did once beat London Spitfire in the Ryan Rush mirror competition in that battle. So whenever we have the opportunity to go for the Ryan Rush mirror fight, then we are sort of or moving towards where we use the mirror fights, and because we know that we could win. All right, Piggy, that is it for the interview. Thank you so much for your time. And with that being said, Avali, take it away.
Danny, just because Piggy took the series doesn't mean that he can take your mic. Fight for it, Danny. Fight for it. But yes, again, congratulations to the Outlaws and a very difficult series there for Florida Mayhem. Johnny, I do want to come to you first with this postgame, just because during that last map, I overheard you almost like talking to Florida, basically being like, okay, be careful. All right, pull back a little bit, almost like a dad teaching his kid how to ride a bike. So what did you want to tell them in that moment?
Dad to ride a bike? I mean,
dad teaching his kid to ride a bike. It was very like that. Yeah, right?
It was a lot of confidence.
Yeah, you're like, okay,
no, it's fine. Yeah, you can go in. Oh, no, not too far.
Like,
you know, like that. Yeah.
Yes.
That was.
Will you teach me how to ride a bike?
I'm not very proud of that depiction of me talking about Florida Mayhem, but. Yeah, I mean, I was coaching. I was trying to coach them a little bit. I'm watching these teams and I'm like trying to judge them. I'm like, hi, I'd like you to push up a little bit here. I'd like you to withdraw a little bit. I think this was a very interesting compositional matchup, especially on Gibraltar, which you will see later in the highlights, because Houston Outlaws, throughout this entire series, you can see it right here even, they're always playing the Sojourn, because Sojourn is so good when it comes to the damage capabilities, right? And then we saw them play a lot of Zenyatta and Ana. You got the Discord Orb, you got the Biotic Grenade, you got the Sleep Dart, the Houston Outlaws. So they're playing a very potent composition in that regard. The Florida Mayhem, on the other hand, when they pick Gibraltar and they're going for the Widowmaker and they're going for the Brigitte, they don't have these big abilities to turn these big fights around. So they need to be way more disciplined. They need to be way more clinical about their positioning, about the way they take some of these fights. And the Florida Mayhem, they needed to be very precise with their engagements and their positioning, and we didn't really see that from them. So I was trying to coach them. I was trying to tell them, like, hey, you need to push up here, you need to punish this, etc. But the Florida Mayhem, they're not really known to be this disciplined team either. We even have Admiral mention it on the cast, like he has a tendency to jump in a little bit too far, getting picked off. XC as well on the Widowmaker, he didn't hit those shots he was required to do because you don't have the Sojourn damage, so you need to get the final blows. But he wasn't able to get those final blows in the first place, and Anamo as well. Not the greatest of games from him, so I think that in general, Houston Outlaws, they played very potent, volatile compositions with a lot of offensive capabilities, and it was just too much to bear for the Florida Mayhem, and they need to be way more disciplined with their positioning when they're opting not to play the Sojourn here.
If Johnny is the supportive dad, I am the angry uncle, because I am not I am not happy with this Moira composition that they played in the first two maps. It doesn't really make sense. They're not playing that Sojourn. They don't have that high damage output. They can't get those picks with that style. And then the Moira, Rupal was just unable to stay alive. Yes, he has that fade. Yes, he has that survivability, but he was still just dying time and time again. I'm not in love with what they're trying to do, and I hope they don't go back into it, because they actually looked a lot more coordinated playing the Winston dive, playing that style around someone's Winston, who really is the forefront player for that team. So they take a pretty brutal loss to the Houston Outlaws here, but I want to see them bounce back because they do have good players, but it just doesn't feel like they have an idea of how they want to play it right now, especially with that Moira composition. Like, why wasn't XE in to play over Hydron? Did they not want to play that Sojourn? Are they not comfortable in it?
I mean, the Genji Tracer, I think, just
but it
didn't quite work.
Yeah.
Like, it was not just... Like, playing Genji Tracer into Sojourn Echo,
just
it
doesn't
hurt
do
a little bit.
anything.
Just a little bit, it hurt.
Yeah.
Like, it's tough.
The kid took the training wheels off and you just pushed him down the hill and said, go, right?
Yeah, and he failed.
And he failed. And I was not allowed back in the house.
All right, well, actually, before I move on to this point, I know we talked a lot about the downfalls of Florida right there, but anything that we want to shout out in terms of the Outlaws, because they did. This is our first 3-0 of the week.
I have two. I think Merritt obviously going crazy on the Sojourn.
Sure, yeah.
You know, I think he was doing well again, but we've already shouted him out that before. But Piggy on the Winston and the Reinhardt kind of surprising me right now. I haven't been in love with some of his Reinhardt performances or his Winston performances, but everything was there today. I'm actually a little bit more excited to see how he does against better teams and if he is going to be able to hold his own like he did today.
Yeah, I think Houston Outlaws, over time, they've like reassured us that they are actually a great team. They're not dropping these maps or series to lower teams anymore. Now they just need to punch upwards and actually beat some of the better teams, which is what we're expecting from them at this point.
All right, well, if you're the supportive dad, the angry uncle, I've never heard that
I've
before.
never heard of an angry uncle.
You guys don't have angry? Okay.
Then I will be the caring grandma and wish them luck as they move into the lower bracket, because remember, Florida Mayhem is not out of the tournament.
I like this brand
yet.
for you. The Fusion Grandmother. It's just...
Fusion Grandma, where did that come from? We're talking about Florida. Oh, but you know what? I'll take that. I'll start baking like fusion cookies or something.
Yeah.
With just like the little icing on them. Like, I'm gonna start up my bakery. Follow me on Twitter, and that's where you're gonna be able to submit orders and stuff. But let's go ahead and talk about our next matchup, because that's gonna be Toronto Defiant against Shanghai Dragons. And Scott, I want to start with you, because when we looked at predictions, I think it was Shanghai Dragons across the board. I know John even has them potentially winning the entire event.
But he's
so.
biased.
He's biased?
Yeah.
We're all a little biased at the end of the day. Barbecue invitation leading to a correct prediction?
That's true, yeah.
I'll take it. But that being said, what does Toronto Defiant need to do in order to surprise everyone here today?
It's an uphill battle. I think this is probably one of the more one-sided matches that we have for today. Shanghai has been dominant, but they need to find a way to shut down Lip. I think Lip has been absolutely incredible in the APAC region. Started a little slow this season compared, he was the MVP runner-up that we saw from last season, but he has been just absolutely incredible, especially on that Ashe. And this is the first time we see the East taking on the West. And something that the East likes to do is they love to play the Ashe instead of the Sojourn. And just look at the stats here from Lip. Out of 12 players with 20+ minutes played, he's just been absolutely incredible. His hit scan and his flexibility have just been adding to the Dragons' dominance over the last couple of seasons. So if the Toronto Defiant and primarily Hisu can find an answer to Lip, then I think they do have a chance. Maybe the Sojourn will work better against the Ashe than we will think, because this is not a matchup that we've really seen. The Ashe has more damage against the Winston, the Wrecking Ball, because you don't have to charge up that rail onto high moving targets. And the Ashe just has more consistent damage. So I'm excited to see how this is going to play out between these two teams. And if the Toronto Defiant can really lead the West to showing that their style might be better than the East.
I would actually say that Lip is so good that they shouldn't even like play into it. Like don't even like bother.
Well, just
to, like,
accept that it's over.
Just accept it. Like Lip is the superior hit scan. Like Hisu, don't try to ego duel like Lip because Hisu, you're not that good. Okay. If there's anything we know, if there's anything we know from the Toronto Defiant, it's they're going to play Doomfist.
Yeah.
Because Muse has actually looked really good on the Doomfist, and Doomfist is a good matchup against Winston and against Wrecking Ball. So if anything, I would just like avoid Lip and try to kill Fate. And then you can go when you're like 5 versus 4.
Just hope it doesn't kill 3 before you kill Fate.
Look, it's a Lip, okay? It's a Lip. We're not talking about like Shockwave on the Vancouver Titans. We're talking about Lip.
Shockwave catching a stray as well.
Encouraging words from you, Johnny, as well as you, Scott. Well,
I'm trying.
You know, I'm going to cut you off right there because it's time to actually let the teams speak for themselves as we get into the next match. And joining us on the casting desk, it's going to be Jaws and Necra. So take it away and get us into the game. Don't throw things at me.
Just ignore Lip. Just ignore Lip, Johnny.
Yeah, don't worry about him.
Bruh. Like, it's the first time the East are meeting the West. And apparent potential, maybe the Shanghai Dragons winning the whole thing, according to Johnny, and they go up against the Toronto Defiant, who have looked incredibly mid, quite literally mid, 6-6 in the regular season up until this point. How is this going to go? Probably Shanghai's way. I like the enthusiasm, though, and just keeping spirits high on the Toronto Defiant camp. But the Clash of Styles, Rose, is going to be, I think, the tail for this series. But Shanghai Dragons just look unbelievably dominant, like, permanently. It's the same old Dragons. And with the Ashe against the Sojourn, there's a lot of consistent output, but Fate's Wrecking Ball is going to get knocked around by Muse? I don't think so.
Yeah, it's a lot of different things that we need to look at for this series in particular, but when we look at East versus West, classically, there's just two vastly different play styles that we see coming out from both of these regions.